Welcome to another episode of Life is About More Than Living a Podcast. Today's guest is Victor Breting, and today's topic is discussing certain aspects of masculinity. Victor is an author and a speaker. The quote for today's show is this: "A man is not defined by what he inherits, but by what he builds." As one who is on a journey still, I think we all are on a journey throughout life. Our particular journey is in line with that theme. That quote, that themed quote, that quote. Why often I have to focus on not what I inherited from other men, other individuals in this journey, but by what I'm attempting to build in my later years. Um, we hit some bullet point topics throughout this conversation, such as personal growth for men, masculinity and responsibility, leadership, perseverance, and one that's always for me a hot topic, resilience and overcoming adversity. So now let's welcome Victor. He will give you his own bio, tell his own story in his own voice, and we'll take a deep dive into this topic, discussing certain aspects of masculinity. Also, please support this podcast on Patreon. The link is in the text. Go to Patreon. Life is about more than living a podcast, and become a subscriber on Patreon and YouTube as well. Thank you again. Let's welcome Victor.
Well, I
What's
appreciate
up, my
you.
man?
Well, man, I
I,
appreciate you having me on, sir.
I appreciate you just being so persistent to get on, and everything. And just give let the audience know who you are. I will say that a lot of our listeners are in what may appear to be our age bracket according to Spotify, um, mid 40s, early 60s. So, and, uh, and right now the men are tipping the scale. So this might be the perfect show for some of them.
Well, good. Well, yes, sir. Appreciate that. So, actually, an eighth generation Texan. My family was one of the original 300 settlers that Stephen F. Austin gave land grants to when Texas was a republic. So, got a little
Mm-hmm.
heredity, in here. That's kind of part of the reason the book was written because I
Mm-hmm.
lost my mom, and I might not have known who Uncle Charlie was when she told me when I was 4 years old. So, really just kind of wrote the book really for my grandkids and their kids to understand what perseverance means, what faith means, and how you get
Mm-hmm.
through adversity. And here we are today with some other subject matters we can talk about.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's just take that thing then. What um I always encourage people to have a book, highlight their book. Just give a brief overview of what your book is, and when they hit that first topic, that personal growth for men, because I think a lot of us, regardless of our age, we're still struggling with some areas of growth as men.
Yes, sir. So, the book kind of just starts from the beginning where, I was raised without a father. I mean, he was there for 10 years before mom and dad divorced and then he passed, but, he wasn't present in my life. So it takes the journey on, what happens when you're raised without a dad. And my mom grounded me in faith. I was in a
Mhm.
faith-based school till I was in sixth grade. She put me in, sports, trying to, do the team thing, make sure. So I was grounded through life. Then it talks about the journey of going left, going right, not really understanding my path, and leads it to the ranch today for, the 64 donated hunts we've given to combat veterans, terminally ill kids, Purple Heart recipients. So it
Mhm.
talks about your journey sometimes is not necessarily defined. You kind of wonder, you try to figure it out. And, it took me 64 years to figure out what God was trying to lead me to, because I had no idea. I just thought I was leading myself.
Mhm. Uh, I'm gonna just pivot back to the ranch and the purpose of the ranch, uh, because that's leading me to think that you may be. This show may pivot off to another show with another gentleman who was a 9/11 survivor, who is currently the top watched, one of the top watched shows on YouTube. uh, who, uh, my guy, uh, Labine, he's a naturalized American. He was in one of the Twin Towers when it was attacked. He survived it, joined the military, did the military experience, came back and founded an organization called Wings for Heroes. Registered in Denver, returned back home to Turkey, and he takes vets with different disabilities and he flies them to turkey sort of like a make a wish list type deal and gives them their dream, whether they got one leg, they go parachuting, or they do this and do that. And that's how his nonprofit Wings for Heroes works. So I'm using that to pivot into what you mentioned about your ranch, how it benefits other people.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it started out, as retirement. Honestly, for my wife and I, we've been in the Metroplex, for
Hmm.
25 years out of Dallas Fort Worth, and both of us are hunters and conservationists, all of our
Hmm.
life. So it kind of made natural sense, to get back in the country. And I met a couple of people. One was Gordon Melton, which is a 20-year founder of Hunting with Soldiers. The other one was
Hmm.
Casey with he's a state director for Cross Trail Outfitters, a faith-based
Hmm.
group, and those two changed the mission of the ranch. It becomes now that the revenue that we make gives us the ability to be able to give back to folks. So that's our mission in life right now, right? My first 50 years in construction, was working to take care of your family and build what you got, and what I've got left on this earth is hopefully being able to give back before I leave.
Okay. And kids and people and veterans just get a chance to visit this ranch. I think you say like 60 people a year or something you may bring in.
Yeah, it's 64 total donations
Hmm.
that we've done, and
Hmm.
the hunt is really it's not part of the deal. It's part of the lure to get them here, but it's
Hmm.
really what happens before and after the hunt. Them being able to look at the stars, the campfire, watching
Mm.
the veterans be able to socialize, become members and friends, start poking each other.
Wow.
It's just an outdoor healing. That's what we're
Outdoor
trying to do.
healing. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's it.
Wow. Get back to that thing sometimes that maybe they perhaps some of them may live in a major city and they really can't see the stars in the outdoor.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Mm, interesting. I didn't think this would be part of this conversation. It's needed, and I'm glad you highlighted it. I would ask that before the show ends that you type that in the comment box about the ranch. Should you be still moving forward with other individuals who might be interested in learning more about it? Um, Now, as far as the part that, again, that you mentioned as well, growing up without a dad, there's so many um, across the spectrum of adulthood, manhood, however you define it. And I say that because I respect all people at all levels, how they define it. But growing up with a father figure, I still think, because to me, there's a difference in a dad. Father. No, start. Let me clarify. A dad and a father figure is different than a man who has a child.
Yes,
Let me
sir.
be very specific about that part because I grew up knowing my, I used to call him sperm donor,
Yep.
and he tried to become. I've written about it. So, but I later was blessed to have men who were more like fathers and dads. And eventually, have one who I lived with. But I was a young adult when it happened. So I know some of the challenges, but this is not for me to talk about some of the challenges. This is about you to talk about some of the challenges and how you overcame some of them.
Yes, sir. Well, it's a couple of things. We talk about the masculinity, portion of the thing. Well,
Yeah.
um, there's a couple of things that happens in doing that, right? So you think
Hmm.
about it whenever you're a kid and you're riding your bicycle for the first time, and you fall off and you scrape your
Hmm.
knee, right? What's the first thing everybody says? Suck it up, Buttercup.
Hmm.
Get up off
Yeah.
the ground. So at an
Well,
early
excuse me.
age,
That's what we used to say. I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm
well,
gonna leave that alone.
that's
That's what
okay.
we used.
We'll continue with it, and here's the reason why.
Okay, because I'm sure
Because
my son is one that says that to his both his girl and boy and both my grandkids, and
that's a good
both
point.
and
That's
they
a
both
good
can
point.
ride the bikes and play
Well,
soccer and get up and fall down.
well, but if you think about it, you're teaching your kids something at an early age. That is. I want you to not talk about fear. I don't want you to talk about your hurt.
Hmm.
Right? I don't talk about your pain. Right? So when you grow up through life, as a man, you're thinking masculinity is I'm going to defend my family. I'm going to take the hill. You're rah rah rah. I'm not going to
Yeah.
cry. Well, Victor's got tens and ones that I've realized from 50 years of leadership. And the
Hmm.
10 is those are those God given talents it gave you.
Hmm.
But if you can take the hill and you can take all the pressure in the world, that's a 10. Your one is you don't have no feelings and there's no empathy. So
Mm.
I've had to learn in life that you basically have to take the 1, 2, a 3, or a 4, right? You can't take the tens down because I tried that one time and it didn't turn
Right.
out too well. Right? It wasn't who I was. So
Mm.
So that's the masculinity portion of it. I think that us men sometimes don't understand, because you have to have some compassion and feeling if you're going to love your family, take care of your family, and put yourself in somebody else's shoes if you're going to try to help
That is so true. I mean, it seems like it's easier to be there for everybody else sometimes, in my opinion, my journey, than it is to be for your own closest family, if especially if it's a new type family, or they call blended family this day and age. And it can be exhausting either way. Uh, uh, I can. It's funny. I was taught not to cry by my grandmother on a particular talk in a way that there's a subject I'm not gonna dive deep into because this is not. We'd be here for hours if I did, and I'm sure you could too.
them.
However, I understand that part of that. So thankfully, as a young adult, my mom fell and married someone who exhibited to me some of what you kind of mentioned. My bicycle wasn't a bicycle. It was actually it's funny. It was actually my stepdad Howard in the bicycle scenario because he had one of the original mopeds, the kind you to paddle and
Oh yeah.
heavy and steel. And you might some of the older ones remember those things when they first came out. And he was a weekend alcoholic, or he called it a weekend drunk. And well, he was good as gold the rest of the week. And I bring up the moped part because I'll be often the one that he would ride out before he would ride out sometimes down that gravel road, and I hear a crash, like oops.
Oops.
I go down there and help him pick it up, and we walk it on home.
Oh shoot.
But yeah, but on the other side of that lived experience, it was the conversations Monday through Friday after I worked and he get home from work. I actually wrote in my poems I wrote about him. That we sit there and watch Dan Rather on the evening news, and he would teach me stuff and tell me stuff that I wouldn't have had wasn't for him to give to my sons.
Right.
Some, um, and because of that, I'm bringing it in because it was the fall down, get up thing. But also, it was sometimes you need another man to support you. And I
Mhm.
didn't realize I was supporting him by driving him around from the juke joints and pool halls Friday and Saturday night after he took care of everything my mom needed.
Yeah.
That's one thing. He was a good provider. He was like home first, took care of Dorothy first, and then he would drink.
Right.
But on the other side of the coin, teaching those things, kind of what you're talking about, those guiding principles, uh, fall down, get up kind of thing.
Yes,
Because that's
sir.
literally what he did. He fell down every Friday night after shopping, and he got back up on Sunday
Yeah.
in the morning.
Yes, sir.
But anyway, I bring that in because you kind of went on it, and I went on a tangent about it. I would like to tie that in though with you mentioned it in leadership, but let's go to something that's a bullet point for me every chance I get into to talk about it. Perseverance.
I think that's one of the most important factors, right? Because nobody ever said there's not going to be adversity in your life, because there is.
Hmm.
Maybe it's every day, maybe it's every day, maybe it's once a year, but you mom always told me a couple things. She goes, God will never give you more than you can handle, but you
Hmm.
can't sit on the couch and expect it to happen, right?
Hmm.
So that
Hmm.
perseverance portion of it means that you get off the couch, no matter how much it hurts, no matter what you're going through, and you persevere through it. You have to, because there's always a silver lining at the end. And I'm not saying it's a day, I'm not saying it's 10 years, but you can't give up, right? That's part of the message I've got too, right? Because everybody understands about the 22 or 23 suicide deaths, right, with combat veterans. What they
Hmm.
don't understand is there's 50 suicide deaths in the construction industry. So we're more than double.
Wait, what? Back.
Yep.
Wait, back up.
Yep.
Construction industry.
Yes, sir.
Suicide. Never made a connection.
Yeah.
Okay, go
There
ahead.
there there is Stress. There is tons of stress in what we do in construction. There's deadlines every day. There's people that don't want to listen. There's honestly drawings that aren't what they used to be, that you got to figure it out. It's all your fault if you don't. There is tons of stress that's on construction people, right? And I always say that in construction, we touch almost every single hat, right? We have to understand healthcare. We have to understand finances, right? We have to understand being a scheduler. There's so many things that we touch, and we take a lot of stress in what we do. And that's a topic that I found out myself when I was, working through with the veterans and all that, because everybody hears about the 22 to 23. What they don't hear about is the 50 that's in the construction industry.
Wow. It's like, especially here in North Carolina, with all this development, um, take it for now because I did work local government. I'm always taking a pause when I work, go by and doing into site preparation
Yes, sir.
because when I started working for local government, um, there were some incidents where safety protocols were put in place, and I look back on one particular incident even today. Someone could have died,
Mm-hmm.
and I
Yes, sir.
saw it, and it could have been me in that particular incident. Incident. This is a long time ago. Days of floppy disk. That's how
I've
long ago.
been there. I'm there.
There was a floppy disk. Okay, and my first computer, and I didn't. I went home. I made a file on it because I refused to go in that hole. The hole was 30 some foot deep
Oh, yeah.
with no shoring,
Yes,
and it
sir.
rained and dirt was falling,
Yep.
and I refused to go.
Yep.
I was like,
Smartest
I'm going
move you
home.
probably made.
I'm going to my family at the end of the day, and I got disciplined for it.
Yeah.
I got really because everybody was like, "Don't you know you can lose your job?" I'm like, no, I'm not going in it.
Yeah.
I'll drive the dump truck. I'll haul the dirt. I'll haul the rocks. I'm not going down those three ladders into that hole.
Yes, sir.
Um, so it's that's one thing I love about meeting people on this show. It brings back so much stuff sometimes to the conversation because you never. I fully believe we're all connected. And when you mentioned that,
Yes, sir.
I mentioned like I ride by now, I see these jobs with the shoring and the heavy equipment, and they laying the pipes and they getting the area prepared for the apartment complex, the housing complex. And I think periodically about wow, those men and women, those individuals. Uh, I kind of like to get out there and do it again, but not really. Not really. I don't
Sounds
care if I
good.
never. I don't care if I never lived in a concrete pipe in a hole.
Yeah,
For
yeah. Well, those
contract
are the.
or for local government.
Well,
I
I
don't
think
care if I
that's
ever did.
when we could do it too. Also.
Yeah, I don't. I, I mean, I got some former coworkers that in one local municipality. I've seen them back up because local governments in North Carolina don't really. Depends where you're at. They don't pay that well. The biggest part is if you can make 20 years, you can
Get to
retire.
retirement.
So
Yes, sir.
I've seen some of them, and I consider it myself as like they're so short staffed. They come out of retirement as a part time and have something else to do.
There you
I'm like, that's okay, not
go.
me.
I'm good.
I'll do what I'm doing now, and I'll keep on slugging away at podcasting until it generates
There you
something.
go. There you
But
go.
anyway, that whole we smile and laugh about it, but that's a lot of people who
Absolutely.
die to help make somebody else's life better. And that's the part of this show I got to go back to. Well, these individuals who would never really, some of them would never benefit from this project or that project, but someone's life is better because of their work.
Absolutely. Totally
Um,
believe it.
and the anxiety and the stress being so great that it leads to suicide. Man, mm, mm, mm. Wow, wow. Uh, Now let's go to another favorite word as we kind of round. What time? Oh, yeah, we're good. We got about another 11. We good. Let's go to another word, favorite word of mine. I kind of shy away from leadership because I've been a peaceful leader and some things I've done, but I'll go back to it in a second. Um, I think sometimes we as individuals in our brains, our subconscious, get perseverance mixed up with resilience. Let's kind of dive into the difference as you perceive what, as you explain what resilience is to you, because they're kind of first cousins, but they're not the same. Resilience.
Yeah, and there's something to say about kind of the accountability side, right? Because
Hmm.
resilience has something to do, with accountability. So I'll take the example of what you just gave about you being in a hole, right?
Hmm.
You were basically accountable to get into that hole, right? But
Hmm.
you had the responsibility to understand what you had in your family. You decided not to be. To me, that's resilience. A lot of
Okay.
people think resilience is, oh, I'm just going to push through it and I'm always going to do, all these right things. Right things in people's eye is could be yes, it could be no. I told my kids all the time. Sometimes yes is a good answer, sometimes no. So the resilience to me that you did was to understand the consequences of what was fixing to happen, and your resilience and your resolve was to I'm going to go back to my family. So I think you can interpret these in a lot of different ways, but I'm going to
Hmm.
interpret just what you did.
Okay. Yeah. I guess it's finding your reason or your why in that moment.
Yes, sir.
Uh, and that ties right back to growing up without a dad or a father figure in your home, because there's certain life skills, no matter who we are, under other they're going to be gained through that certain life skills. No matter how society changes, cultures changes, we change. There's a certain dynamic, a certain level. I firmly believe of certain life skills that can only be gained in certain perspectives. If it wasn't, you wouldn't have a coach for baseball and a coach for basketball. There'd be one coach for all. Now, don't get me wrong. When you little kids, that one daddy figure does it all sometimes. Like my youngest son, he coaches the soccer and he coaches the basketball. My grandson,
Yes, sir.
but as you get older, there's that shift
Yes,
sometimes.
sir.
It's now I think leadership. I gotta go there. Leadership, because yeah, I'm gonna leave it alone. What have you got to share about that part? Leadership.
Well, leadership is different for everybody, right? I believe
Okay.
leadership has to do with servitude leadership. I believe
Okay.
leadership has to be from being in the front, not the back. Leadership
Okay.
has to be from if my mouth is wagging, my toes ought to be following. That's how I lead. Now,
Hmm.
don't get me wrong. Early on in construction, especially the way I was raised, I didn't know what my name was. It was, ask, what, or blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah, or the shovel in
Yeah.
the back of your back, right? That's how we
Right.
were raised, right, in construction. So, like you said, it's
Well.
different today, right? Totally different. I get it, totally understand. But I still believe a leader is the one that's in front, setting the pace, setting the tone. So here's Victor saying, I tell this to my group all the time. If you got an employee that does not work out, it's your fault. Why? Because number one, you either hired the wrong person or you didn't teach and train them so that they were proficient in their job. Leadership means I'm standing in front. I'm gonna take that bullet. I'm gonna take that blow. I'm not gonna
Right.
blame you because you did it wrong. I'm gonna blame myself first because I'm the one that's responsible for teaching, training, and leading you.
Okay. Uh, I'm gonna tie in one of my stories with what you just said, and we can go and feedback off of that. Excuse me, everybody. I had to get this time. I need some water this morning. A crazy thing is I'm a morning person. I just been recently shifting my flow to get to be a later morning person, because all of my life I've been like a 5 a.m. person.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, welcome to construction, right?
yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's cool. My office door open. I'm the only one up. My wife is still asleep. Uh, as I wrapped up my 19 plus years of local government, and I had opportunities to work with, work under. I won't say I work under. I'm gonna say work with, because of how you phrase leadership. The best supervisor I ever had. Took 19 some years to get one.
Yeah, understand.
Uh, but I got one. I had a good one before her, but she outpaced him.
Mm-hmm.
And and if things had been different, I probably would have stayed and got 20 plus years in. But anyway, that's not a story for this thing here. The story is that I encountered someone. No, she never ever got in a street sweeper while I was there,
Right.
but she came up through the ranks. I happened to get hired. When I happened to get hired, I ended up having me get very ill, and she made sure I was covered uh, the best she could as far as timing and things and pay coming in. The pay is always important, but those things didn't overshadow what she did. She never talked down to any of us on her team. She took time to listen. Now, anybody that was her lead guy, he was kind of different, but he did it in a joking kind of way, so you didn't get offended when he took orders from her to give to us. But overall, whether you were the perfect person who went out, who was assigned to pick up paper and litter around the city, or you were operator, she treated everybody with respect and the same. If you're a temporary worker, you got the same exit lunch that the full-time workers got. That threw me off because I'm like, we're doing lunch. Everybody meeting where for what? And well, this person's leaving us, so he gets lunch.
Yep.
I'm like, uh, she was the person who we had a they had you could get the commercial driver license there, which was unusual to me in a sense of how they did it. She encouraged that kind of thing. You know, once I knew an individual who came in picking up paper and ended up retiring with his CLA license. She was that kind of person. He had his license before, but he lost them. She helped him get them back and get promoted. I'm saying also say going back to leadership and what you were saying about the doing part and the mixing part. Uh, you use the expression leading from the front. Can you go back to that part? Because I think I just kind of explained, give an example somewhere in line what you said, but I want you to go back, please, to your quote about leadership, how you lead not from the front, but from the back or whatever like that.
Yeah. So, what does leading from the front mean to me?
Okay.
I've managed as many as 1,500 employees. So, leading from the front means that I need to make sure that the decisions that I make are for the betterment of the company and the employee. I need to make sure that when I make a decision, I don't go back on it 15 times because I'm going to lose the trust of my people, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
they'll listen to you once. Second
Mm-hmm.
time's going to be a little fuzzy. Third time, I kind of go, I don't know if I'm going to do this. You're just going to change it anyways, right? So you are in charge of trying to set up the standards, the means, the methods, the ideas, the processes, all of this to be successful for your employees because people follow people. You said that yourself. I maybe would have stayed with this person for X amount of years because I believed in this person. So if you're going to lead, then that means you are putting the processes, all of the implementations, everything together for the success of your people. Because here's the reality of life. If your people are successful, your company is going to be successful. But if those people
Mm-hmm.
are not successful, your company is not going to be successful because they're going to leave anyways.
Yeah, or maybe like um, have a high turnover rate, like some places have.
Well, and that's a big deal because if they say, right, in construction, if I've got an upper management person, it's going to be $50 to $100,000 per person to retrain them into the position that they've got. So I've
Wow.
always, I tell my group all the time, I really hope you have enough compassion and empathy to know that they have a family to feed and that you are responsible for taking care of that family. But if you don't, you better look at them as a dollar sign because at the end of the day, if they leave, it's going to cost this company a lot of money. It's going to cost your job, whatever position you're in, a lot of money.
Wow. All right, I'm gonna take bullet point number two as a closing point. So I think it can bring everything out, everything together. Uh, the word responsibility. How can you encapsulate all that we said under the umbrella of responsibility? Wow, we got a couple people on. Let's see. Yeah, that's crazy.
The early ones
Let's
too.
never.
Maybe they're in construction.
Yeah, that might be. See, the thing about it though, early is good. However, early is good. It's just not. I haven't stayed with it yet. Maybe I need
There
to
you
stay
go.
with it because I'm trying to time it with the West Coast and Texas time
Mhm.
because a lot of the. I mean, I got to go back to what I see on my numbers. That's
Sure.
when people are tuning in to this on Spotify. Uh, but before I get off track, let's go into
Yes, sir.
responsibility part. Then I'll
So,
bring up the next part.
kind of, you're talking about resilience and perseverance. Okay, let's talk about accountability and responsibility. It's the same
Okay.
thing, right? That
Okay.
just because you are accountable, right, for the job, right, that means maybe you're overall, but you're responsible for a specific task. So there's difference between responsible and accountable. To me, the accountable, the buck stops there. That's accountability. Responsible means that I've got a task to do and I'm responsible for getting it done. So that's how I look at the two different things. Are you accountable or are you responsible? Right? If you're a leader, you're accountable, right? I've
Hmm.
always believed there's somebody ahead of you. I don't care if you're the president of the United States, you still have somebody to answer to. In this case, it's God.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
you're always accountable to somebody, some way, somehow. That's the accountability portion of it. Now, you're responsible. If I'm accountable to God, then I am responsible for doing the things He says that He wrote on that little tablet that had 10 things on
Right.
it. That's what I'm responsible for. But I am accountable to God.
Right. So that's where it all comes in together. Uh, Thank you, sir, for sharing what you shared with us today. Everyone, you can catch this on replay as on Spotify, or you can hit it on YouTube because it's live streamed directly to YouTube. We were live on YouTube. I had a couple YouTube viewers up there. Yeah, I try to keep this real simple. Replay will be available on Spotify as audio and video within the next 48 hours. Uh, Victor, you've been a great guest. Thank you again for coming up here, sharing your insights. And
Yes,
I needed
sir.
this.
We appreciate it.
We needed this energy, Universal. We needed this to get this morning started out. Uh, and just been, it's always great to have easy flow. Do support Victor's book, The Man That I Would Become. I will be getting it
Thank you, sir.
soon. Uh, and yeah, I'm gonna take your camera and close this out real quick, and this can be it, sir. So let me just take your camera real quick, so that I remember hit the right buttons. It's always the right buttons to do it. All right. But yeah, there we go. Thanks for catching another episode of Life is About More Than Living, a podcast. Please support this show on Patreon and YouTube by becoming a subscriber. Have an amazing week, and the show is sponsored by Self Talk Gear, the apparel store is associated with the slogan, no matter what happens, I win. Click the links and go to Self Talk Gear and wear the brand.